and welcome to Filmi Ladies. This is episode 3 of our Bollywood for Beginners series. And in this episode, we decided to bring some laughter and gaiety to your life because that's the kind of podcasters we are. And the movie I have chosen for this episode is Band Baja Baraat from 2010. So this movie has now completed 15 years and it is a very, very popular movie. I would categorize it as a rom-com. And then Beth has chosen Bunty or Babli. Which year is Bunty or Babli from?
2005.
Okay. And that one is also super, super popular. So we're kind of playing around in the same era somewhat. The only difference I would say is that Beth's movie has two bona fide movie stars, and my movie has relative newcomers in it. So Beth, do you want to talk about Bunty or Bubbly? Why do you like this movie so
Oh
much?
gosh, I love this movie. So if you listen to our last Bollywood for Beginners episode, and I was being a little mean about Sholay and how it, uses a lot of elements from other material without necessarily giving any credit to those, that is also somewhat true of Bunty or Bubbly. I think many people will tell you it's based on Bonnie and Clyde.
Mm,
So we have two cons who go on the run and pull a lot of cons.
right.
Is the part that I remember best and like the most. There are other parts as well. To me, this actually, I was thinking about how much it reminds me of It Happened One Night, which has
Mm,
been remade in Indian context at least 8 times. So this is a template that India really loves. I think for reasons that are pretty self-explanatory. I think it's the same reasons that a lot of people loved it in the 30s in the US too. So and due to this day, it's still a beloved film in America too, right?
mhm.
So this has, two people who are on the road who've been thrown together a little bit. There's choice involved as well, but these are two young kids who are like 21 and 23 or something like that, and they decide to leave their small towns to pursue their dreams. The way they go about that is a little convoluted, and it's only when the typical route doesn't work that they turn to conning people, and they have a great deal of fun doing it, and they're very successful. They do fall in love. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler. And then halfway through, we discover there's a police officer on their tail. And guess what? It's Amitabh Bachchan again. We just talked about in our last episode, and he briefly appears in the first film I brought to this series as well. So you will get some time with this elder statesman of Hindi cinema playing a pretty fun version of gruff elder cop kind of thing. He has a lot of fun. And since you are new to this, probably, or for those who are new to this topic, the hero of this film is his real life son, so that's entertaining. Then this film also stars in one of the cabaret song type things that Pichu mentioned with Sholay. We have an item number performed by the real life wife slash daughter-in-law, Aishwarya Rai, of the Bachchan household, and she's a megastar in her own right, and really comes in and nails the heck out of an absolutely smashing cabaret song, which is when I was rewatching this film to prep for this podcast, I was just like, gosh, I love that song. Gosh, I love
Yeah.
everything about that song. And then the heroine of this film is Rani Mukherjee, who also comes from a very large film dynasty in Hindi and Bengali cinema. She's my favorite. I don't know if we call her a working heroine anymore. She appears here and there.
Right.
She doesn't work as much as she used to. She's roughly 50. Um, I love this film. I just think it's so much fun. I don't think you need to have any Indian contextual knowledge to enjoy it. I'm
Right.
sure you get more out of it if you do, but I think it's very, very accessible. Um, I also think that if you get sleepy or something and you need to turn this off at the interval, it's absolutely fine because it does divide into halves or two parts fairly neatly. Some people will say that mainstream Hindi films are too long or you can't get through them in one night. I don't usually either, just FYI. I usually take a break halfway through or partway through and they tell you when interval is. So go get a snack or go to bed and watch the rest of it the next day. It's really, really fun. Also has great music, although very much of its era. We've spoken some about the fashions. This was the heroine's sort of dominant outfit motif, and this did become a fad. It was really popular. Um, because they're pulling cons, they wear a lot of disguises. So there are all sorts of outfits in this movie, and they're very enjoyable. You will see a reference to Cholet in this movie, which is why I wanted to talk about that one in episode 2 before we did our comedy episode. You will have a lot of fun in this movie, I think.
Yeah. I think Bunty of Babli is like hysterical, and it still like
Yes,
holds up. I
it
mean,
does.
for like
It
a movie
does.
from 2005.
Yes.
Um, okay. And then my movie Band Baja Baraat is it has some similarities, but not very many. Where Bunty or Bubbly has two very young people who are trying to escape the drudgery and monotony of small town India. Um, Band Baja Baraat is actually set in Delhi, so these are two urban people and they are also very young. Anushka Sharma plays, she's the actress, and she plays a girl who is very business minded. She's only 20 years old. She's graduating from college just because her family insists she has a degree, but she really wants to have her own business, which she calls Shadi Mubarak, because she wants to be a wedding planner. And she has been working part time as an assistant to an actual wedding planner
Okay,
because
what does
that's what
Shadi
she wants.
Mubarak mean?
Congratulations on your wedding. So that's her business that she wants to start. And then she has like a little cute little scrapbook with all the themes, like there's like a fairy theme and a circus theme and all sorts of like ridiculous themes that she comes up with. And then the actor in this film is Ranveer Singh, who is one of my absolute favorites. Like, I love this actor. He is just a ball of energy, which 90% of the time is very entertaining to me, and 10% of the time I just want to tell him to shut up. One thing I will say about Ranveer Singh, he always gives us all. This person is just bouncing off the walls all the
Mhm.
time, and he's never just like sitting still and doing nothing. Sometimes you wish he would, but contemplation is not a Ranveer Singh activity. Being very active, jumping around, dancing, singing, charming us, being sexy, that is a Ranveer Singh activity, and he does that very well. This is his debut film, and he definitely took India by storm when this movie came out. And today he's very much considered a bona fide superstar. Both him and Anushka Sharma are part of what would be called power couples in India. So she is married to one of India's greatest cricketers of all time, Virat Kohli, and she is now essentially like retired from acting. She has two kids. She's not really interested in coming back as an actor. I think she also wound up her really good production company.
Oh,
And then
that's too
Ranveer
bad.
Singh, yeah. And then Ranveer Singh is married to Deepika Padukone, who's also a major megastar. And but this was Ranveer Singh's first film. He's very raw in this movie. He's very young. He plays a 20-year-old who comes from like a small farming community. And if he doesn't prove to his dad and his uncle that he is doing something productive with his time in Delhi, where he stays in a hostel for college, then they're going to have him come back to the farm. So he just has to like do something. So he partners up with this girl to be part of Shadi Mubarak, which is their wedding planning business. If you know anything about India, you know that weddings in India are a very, very, very big deal. And Indian weddings go on for like 5 days. I had a 5 day wedding and I had like 400 guests, and I was considered a very small and very minimal wedding. Like, yeah, it was considered very, very small. But basically, if you have ever been curious about what an Indian wedding is like and what goes into the planning of an Indian wedding, this movie will give you a little bit of a hint into that. Some of the stuff is, of course, very exaggerated, but you see them dealing with like middle class folks, you see them dealing with like upper class folks. And because this is a rom-com, while they start out as two opposite individuals, a very driven, very ambitious, career oriented girl and basically a useless, lazy boy who just wants to escape his farming future. They come together, but then they really get into the business. They become very successful, except they make the mistake of falling in love. And then that causes a few complications, but all is well in the end, and it is a happy ending. And there are some very good songs in this movie. There are some great costumes and eye candy in this movie. And this movie will show you a certain strata of Delhi society, which is people who are middle class, who live in the not fancy zip codes of Delhi, who are not super comfortable speaking in English. It makes them nervous when they have to speak in English. They're not used to dealing with people from other cultures, but they still have that like women vigor and they want to make it on their own, and they're very ambitious and driven. So it's like a good look into a certain subset of Indian society from the metropolises. You will also encounter the snooty, nose up in the air, very, very rich tycoon type of people that these people are going after and trying to get their business. So you get to see all the different strata of society in this film. And one thing I really like about this movie, which is true of Bunty or Babli also, is that the woman character is shown as someone who's really ambitious and she really wants to make something of her life. Now, in the case of Bunty or Babli, those are unethical ways, but she's still wanting to do
Well, and
something
her goal is to
interesting.
be like a model and to be Miss India. So it's I was trying to decide if I thought that was being played for laughs in the
I
movie.
think
I
so.
kind of think so because partly because Rani Mukherjee is very short and world level beauty queens are not short usually,
No,
nor are
she's
supermodels, but
barely 5 feet tall.
the tiny little person. So, but also that character lacks any kind of polish, so it's kind of hard to imagine her as an international beauty queen. But it's still, that's what she wants, and she certainly is
Yeah.
at times trying to get it.
But that's also what makes her so endearing, I think, because we realize that her ambition is not very achievable, but I like that she wants it for herself and she has these like big dreams for herself. And yeah, maybe she doesn't go about it the best way, but at least it's entertaining. It makes for a more fun story than someone who's just whining on their couch, I guess. And then same thing with Band Baja Baraat. It's like both of these characters want to make something of themselves. They want to be rich. In the case of Anushka Sharma, the actress, she talks about how her family is very middle class. Her dad works in the government. He's like, one assumes, like a clerk of some sort. And they don't have a lot of money. And she talks about how her part-time salary that she earns, she gives half of it to her dad to help with household expenses, and she wants to use the other half to invest in her business. So it's a really fun movie. You get to see the team that works with them, like the guy who does the catering, the guy who supplies flowers and stuff like that. It also gives you an insight into Indian society and the chaos and just the immense amount of fun that Indian weddings are. There's so much laughter and color and dance and food, and they're just a good time. And this movie is like an Indian wedding. It's a good time. You're not going to get bored watching this movie. You're going to have fun. Ranveer Singh will bring a smile to your face. He is a bona fide star. Like, this was his debut role and he really shocked people with how good he is. And there are many Ranveer Singh movies I can recommend if you would like to see him in other roles. But I can't imagine anyone else having done this role except for Anushka Sharma and Ranveer Singh. They were
Mhm.
perfect for this role, I think. Would you say the same about Bunty or Babli, about the casting in that film?
Oh gosh. You know, it's hard to because I love those two as a pair specifically as
Yeah.
well. But I suppose probably especially the male lead because as as we've discussed before, our Rani Mukherjee is, I think, uniquely talented at comedy among her peers. So I
Mhm.
can't imagine anyone else being quite as good as she is and bringing the warmth and
Yeah.
the sort of naivete that she has. Like Kareena Kapoor, for example, I think would be fun to watch her pulling a lot of cons.
Yeah.
I don't buy her as like a small town
Yeah.
wannabe beauty queen. If it was like small town, I want to be a business tycoon, that I would believe more. But like
Yeah.
there's something slightly different about that to me.
Rani has an earnestness, I
Yeah,
think.
she really does. And Abhishek, I read that Hrithik Roshan was approached for this role and he
I
said
would not
no, which I
buy
can't
that.
imagine at all. I don't think that's right at all. So you need someone who's willing to be not so serious,
Yeah.
and not to take himself so seriously. And Hrithik does do some comedic things well, but I think he takes himself fairly seriously.
Yeah.
Abhishek Bachchan, I don't think does, and it works in this movie really well. But actually, so people who have already seen this film, obviously the sequel to it that was made about a few years ago has a different actor
Hmm.
as Bunty, Saif Ali Khan, who I think was very good. So I can actually
Yeah.
imagine him having been in it, and he and Ronnie have good chemistry. But yeah, I very much love it the way it is.
I think also the contrast between the leads is interesting, right? Because Rani she's such a firecracker.
Yeah.
Well, the height differences too, but also
When
her personality is so different from his because, like, Abhishek always is so sort of languid in
yeah,
his films.
yep,
Like, there's just such a slowness to him. I don't mean that in like a bad way, but like,
right.
he's so relaxed.
And he's got the kind of deep voice like his dad, and he
Yeah.
just seems like he
Unhurried.
comes off as chill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though his character in this film is a bit of a hustler, right? He's trying to make stuff happen, but
Hmm.
he doesn't seem to get enough flap.
Yeah. That's true. I think that you see that opposites in Band Baja Baraat also, where
Yeah.
she's so serious and uptight and definitely no nonsense and things like that. And he's kind of like willing to let things slide a little. He's a little bit more mellow. He's also they're an interesting contrast in that she presents this image of being super strict and unemotional, and she refers to romantic entanglements as like a headache and stuff like that. And she's like, I would never want to like have romantic entanglements, like how stupid, you know. But she's actually a deeply emotional person. She's just very uncomfortable showing that. She has all these walls
Mm,
up. And then his character is someone that is very emotional from the get-go, wears his heart on his sleeve, which is a very Ranveer Singh thing to do. And he just kind of like chips away at that wall until he gets to see the real her. And I think the way he goes about it is very interesting, because she
mm,
clearly does not want her walls to be chipped away at.
mm-mm.
So there's a lot of friction between them, which is, I think, also what makes this movie so fun to watch, because sparks fly, because she's just not going to let him just bulldoze his way into her heart the way he did into her business. And I think it's just a very fun rom-com that I think really holds up, and the songs are really good. The dances are really good. Ranveer Singh is an amazing dancer.
Absolutely.
And so when you see him dancing at the weddings and stuff, it's just so much fun. You can see he's really enjoying himself. And people don't really talk about Ranveer Singh dancing, but he's really a superb
Great
dancer, I
guy.
think.
Yeah.
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 And then the outfits in this movie are very Delhi. They're very middle class Delhi. Like, I know exactly where these people are shopping. Like, I know exactly what the shops are, the shopping centers where they're going. They're not wearing designer labels. They're wearing very like girl next door, boy next door kind of stuff. They're styled in a certain way. Ranveer Singh's haircut, the fact that he wears like a good luck tavis, the fact that they wear those little colorful threads. I mean, if you're not Indian, you're not going to pick up on some of that stuff, but it's really done with a great attention to detail about who these people are, where they come from. And
Mm,
they stay true to that, which I really like. Like
mm,
they keep their rough edges rough throughout the movie without suddenly becoming very polished. And I think that's true of Bunty or Babli also,
mm.
right? Like they're not suddenly morphing into individuals we don't recognize.
No, and you're making me wonder, would they, if they weren't spending so much of their time pretending to be other people, right? So since they're always presenting fake names and fake personas
Mm,
and fake appearances, maybe that in a way, and they, I had kind of forgotten this, that Bunty and Bubbly are not their real names. Those are personas that they give their con pulling versions of
their
themselves.
alter egos. Oh, I'd forgotten
Yeah,
that. It's
right?
been a while since I saw this movie. What are
Hmm.
their real names?
She is Vimy and uh
Gosh, I'd forgotten that.
he is Rakesh. I was like, is it Rajesh or Rakesh? Rakesh.
Wow.
And so they, they only once they get going, they don't use those names very often.
Mm,
Um, I was remembering that one of my favorite scenes in this movie is actually they've been quite successful and they're somewhere in the countryside, like by a babbling river, kind of just enjoying some fresh air and everything. And she starts to cry, and she kind of goes back and forth between like a sort of quieter, gentle crying to like full Lucille Ball. Mommy, she misses her mom. And this is,
oh.
2005. They don't have cell phones. So, and he's like, doesn't quite know how to handle it. He's like, do you want to call your mom? She's like, ah.
Oh.
And then I had forgotten this. She's telling him about how he's remembering that her dad always said someday they would go on a holiday, and they never managed to save up enough money to go on a holiday. And he says, you want to send some money home? And it's so sweet. I'd forgotten that little, like, I love the crying. For some reason, I think it's both very funny and it works on me emotionally. But then,
Yeah.
like, how he's so thoughtful about you, she doesn't talk to her parents for long on the phone, just says, I love you, I'm okay, and I'm not coming home. She also is, they're trying to marry her off, so
Right.
she doesn't want to get married. Um, and it's just so sweet somehow. It's so sweet to me. And maybe that's just a Rani Mukherjee thing that works on me, and it wouldn't if someone else was doing it. I fully admit that, but that little scene between them is so sweet and so thoughtful, but also funny.
Yeah. Do you enjoy the romance aspect of Bunty or Bubbly as much as you enjoy like the con part and the escaping part?
I no, I don't not enjoy it, but it is very secondary to me.
Okay.
And I think the film knows it, and the film doesn't try super hard to push it. Like you see them getting married, and they marry themselves, like walking around
Hmm.
the altar outside. Are they outside the Taj Mahal? I think when they do that. Um,
Maybe.
and then they have a song number that kind of takes the place of their wedding night because she's drinking and has fallen asleep. Then we have
Mm,
this kind of romantic song, which I gotta say, I don't think Abhishek Bachchan totally sells that song. It's okay, but it's not great. But then when they're back in reality, and she wakes up first in the morning and is like, hey, 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 we're married. Hey, hey, hey. It's really
right.
cute. So it's a very friendly romance, which I'm
Right.
all for. It's not like a grand passion or anything. They have affection for each other. They respect each other's abilities. They make a good pair.
Hmm.
So it's kind of somewhere in it's almost as though their parents might have set them up, right? They
Right.
didn't, but like they seem nicely matched in that
Yeah.
way, even though it's not a grand passion. Like I don't need all my romances to be like big sweeping
Right.
whatever things. This is perfectly fine for me.
That's so funny because, like, I know that you and I just pick these movies because we like them and we think that they're good for beginners. But
Mhm.
there's so many parallels between these films. Like,
Yeah,
even in Band Baja Baraat, it's not like a big sweeping epic
no,
romance. It's
no,
not Titanic or anything, but it's
yeah,
like, it's the romance for them is things like, she makes the most god awful chai and he makes really nice chai and he makes chai for her every day. And it's like, little things like that. But it's
yeah.
also the fact that they're such opposite people and just the emotional baggage that she has that results in their fighting. But they are actually fairly well matched if you think about it, and her family certainly seems to think so as well. So that's interesting.
I,
Um,
I think it's worth talking about that these films are made by the same production house.
yes.
So, for our newbie friends, these are produced by a company called Yash Raj Films, which was founded by director Yash Chopra. If you are interested in this, you can watch a documentary about him on Netflix and the company he created called The Romantics. Um, Kind of an uneven product, if I recall, and we have a whole episode about that. But you would learn a lot and see a lot of cameos by various Bollywood stars if you are interested. But this is a production house known for big budget, great music, A-list talent,
Hmm.
some
Very
nepotism. Very
prestigious.
prestigious, not in the arty way, but
Mm.
in terms
In
of
the
getting,
star making way,
yep,
I would say,
yep,
right?
in the
Like
star making
you've
way.
made it when you have starred in a Yash
Hmm.
Raj production. If you're the
Hmm.
lead in a Yash Raj production, you've made it. You are now
Hmm.
a bona fide star.
Well,
Well, it used to be. Now it's all
yeah,
run by the
I mean, I
nepos,
keep thinking
but
about poor Vani Kapoor, right, who
right.
was part of a three lead thing, and her career just never really went where it should have.
Yeah.
I think that anyway, that's in the weeds. But so you will see a gloss, and I don't mean that in a superficial way. These are very well made, beautifully budgeted, lots of great choices going in, and the resources to follow through with those
Hmm.
choices. And also this is a well-established company. This material is easy to get. They exist with subtitles. For a while, Netflix always had the Yash Raj films. I don't know where they are now, but so you might find these on DVD in your local library. You will be able to find these without a problem. You may be able to rent them on YouTube. I can't remember, but this is a company that's interested in getting its product out of India
Hmm.
and has the resources to make that happen. So, and you will see we haven't really talked about character actors in this world yet, but like Bunty or Babli has an amazing list of character actors in it as some of the people who get robbed. So they just have a couple scenes and then you never
Yeah.
see them again. But you get very good people in the secondary and tertiary roles, which I think is often true of lots of mainstream Hindi films. And I love a lot of those people, but this company is particularly good at it, as I think the founding director was. You'll see a lot of really amazing people in his films at all type of role.
Hmm.
Um,
They
and that's
also have like a stable of talent. So it's like not every film is like the films are produced by Restaurant Cinema, but not everyone that directs it is the same person. Like they have like a stable of young talents that they groom, and so for example, your movie Bunty or Babli isn't that a Shad Ali directorial? And then mine is actually directed by Manish Sharma. So this was Manish Sharma's his first film as a full-fledged director for Yash
Mhm.
Raj. He started out as like an AD and things like that. So this is a company that will take like talented people, put them in like junior roles, groom them, and then
Mhm.
eventually give them an opportunity to do something big. So it is a little bit of like almost like an assembly line, like a little bit of a factory, where it's like the old Hollywood studio system where they'll do like a 3-movie contract with someone and you have to do those 3 movies for them. But that's considered like a chance of a lifetime for so many people. And at least in the past, Yash Raj was famous for hiring what is known as outsiders, which is people that had no nepotistic ties to Bollywood, and giving them a chance. Like Anushka Sharma, Ranveer Singh, both of the people in my movie are outsiders, but
I
now
mean,
that is
he's
not
not
true.
really. He's
I mean,
connected
he's
to the
like a
Kapoor family.
distant, well, he's like a
Yeah,
distant cousin of Sonam Kapoor. So I don't think they gave him
his
any kind of leg up though.
grandparents, I think, were or one of his grandparents. But so he's not a total outsider, but he's not a nepo kid exactly.
Yeah.
Not like
I mean, I
Abhishek and
think he
Rani
has
are.
some connections,
Yeah.
yeah. But and Anushka Sharma is like a complete, I mean, she was
Mhm.
like a model before
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But also what is worth noting is that the heir to the Yashraj fortune, which is Aditya Chopra, eventually also married Rani Mukherjee, that heroine. So in some of our other episodes, I take great glee in referring to her as Yashraj ki Malkin, which means the owner of Yashraj Cinema. I don't know why that makes me happy. It just makes me happy. I like
I
to
bet
imagine her stomping down the hallways of
me
Yashraj yelling at
too.
people.
Like full bubbly mode of, you know, trying to sell the Taj Mahal or
Yeah,
whatever
like
it is.
all 5 feet of her just like screaming at people.
I know. I know. Someday there'll be an amazing dissertation about the influence she had in that company or didn't have, and because I sure don't know what it is, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, for all her clout, she's not doing any more movies though. So it's kind
not
of
as
like,
much. No.
why are you not using that clout?
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so if you had to give a one sentence like pitch to our viewers, why should they watch Bunty or Bubbly, what would you say?
I'm sure someone has said this before. It is fun on the run. That's a
A
tagline that exists
madcap.
out there, I know, but like yeah, it's like a kind of a screwball comedy for the most part with some, with some of the sort of Hindi mainstream elements thrown in. So there's a little bit of stuff about parents. There's a little bit about responsibility. There's a little bit about, who are we robbing and Robin Hood sort of
Mm.
stuff going on. So there's some do-goodery and things like that. Also, you will be introduced to things like an item number or a cabaret number, like we said. So it's got, it's combining some templates and some different in different ways, and it's just
Also,
lots of
talk
fun.
about Yashraj Cloud. You get
Right,
Aishwarya Rai to do your item number. Like that's the power of Yashraj. That's the big pockets that they
right.
have. And she has looked so exceptional in that song in Kajrare. So, audience, you should also know this. Kajrare, what a massive, massive, massive hit. This song played everywhere. You could not escape it for years. No Bollywood party ended without drunk people dancing to Kajrare, myself included. No wedding ended without people dancing to Kajrare. It was just everywhere. And you could not pass by electronics shops in Mumbai. I was on
Mm,
holiday in Mumbai, which is my hometown. And I passed by Sony Money Electronics, which is a very famous electronic shop. And they have like a whole wall of televisions. And it's like a glass doors. So when you walk past it, you can see whatever the TV screen is showing. And every single plasma TV was showing Kajrare. And people were looking outside because like Aishwarya Rai has just looked so magnificent in this song. I am a diehard Aishwarya Rai fan, so I can talk about her forever. So I will shut up now. Um, if I had to give a one line reason for you to watch Band Baja Baraat, I would say this is a really fun movie to watch about two driven, ambitious people who want to make something of themselves. And this movie celebrates the idea of entrepreneurship, and it celebrates the idea of making your own destiny, making your own money, getting that bag, and in the process, finding out who you are as a person and perhaps potentially partnering up with someone in a romantic way. I think a lot of the younger generation will be able to relate to this film. Um, any parting thoughts, or should we wrap up this episode?
I think if any of our newbies listening decide to go for these movies, again, there are many points from which you could to which you could go after this, but you could do way worse than looking for other films produced by this company. I think they're not all great. They really are not.
Right.
But there's a certain kind of level of production that um, is fun to look at, frankly.
Yeah. And then after watching this movie, if you find yourself enchanted with Rani Mukherjee, who is the lead of Beth's film, we did do an episode on her as part of our Superstar series. So we can link to that if you want to
Mhm.
know a little bit more about her and maybe see some other films she's been in. Because one thing about Rani Mukherjee, she does not disappoint. Any movie that she's in, that woman gives her all. She acts really, really well. You cannot find fault with this woman's acting. And then if you like Ranveer Singh, who is the star of my film, we have spoken at length about a movie he did called Lutera, which is one of my absolute favorite films of all time. We can link to that. You should watch Lutera also. You will see a very different side of Ranveer Singh in that
And
film.
Dil de Rakne Do also.
And Dil De Rakne Do, which is also a movie that we did that has like a huge ensemble cast.
Mhm.
I think the most famous person from that cast to Westerners would be Priyanka Chopra. So she's in that movie as well. She plays Ranveer Singh's sister, actually. And that movie, the dialogues were written by Javed Akhtar, and it is produced by Farhan Akhtar. So again, it's helmed by members of another very big Bollywood family, the Akhtar family. So I think that concludes this episode, and then we have two more episodes in the Bollywood for Beginners series to go. Go ahead and watch these movies. Tell us what you think. My movie's available on Amazon Prime Video, also for rent on YouTube. So I'll put the link for YouTube beneath, and then let us know what you think. Thank you for watching. Bye.